on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kenner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you in. Happy Thursday. The Justin Kenner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Happy Thursday again. A lot to get into here today. I kind of announced that I thought that the Reds season was dead and over earlier in the season, or over in the week, yesterday or 2 days ago. Look, I'm a very reactionary person. I mean, I'm going to buy in. I'm a prisoner of the moment. And there are times where I feel like this team is just awful. And then there's other times where I'm like, I don't think they're great, but there's something there. And that's what makes this team so just annoyingly unlikable and likable. They're fun to cheer for, but my gosh, they make you feel miserable about yourself as a Reds fan. We're going to talk about that in a moment. The Reds get a big win last night, but it cost them. They get a win, but they also experience a potential significant loss. We'll talk about that here shortly. Sam LeCure, part of the Reds pre- and post-game show on FanDuel Sports, of course, is going to, or we caught up with him already today on Off the Bench, but we talked about everything under the sun when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds. And I think the one reason why my opinion or my vibes about the Reds have kind of shifted is because sometimes you just need an outside perspective, a former player that's been in a clubhouse that knows the ropes more than just us from a fan perspective. Sam LeCure has me feeling a little bit different about this Reds team, but we'll also talk about the significance of the injury of Hunter Greene, which is what we're going to open up with here momentarily. But again, yes, we will have the interview with Sam LeCure coming up later on in the show. He's a lot more positive about this Reds team than I am at times. And no, it's not just because he's paid to, on the Reds, working for the Reds, technically doing the pre and post game shows for them. But the bottom line is Sam he's always towed that line of being a little too critical at times, according to them. So I'm excited to share that interview, guys, with you. Great interview with Sam LeCure earlier today. We'll have that for you later on here in the show. So just keep that in mind. But let's do it. Let's open up with it, right? Last night, things going well. And to be honest, things have been going well as far as pitching is concerned for the Reds for a while. I know they kind of got beat up. The bullpen did against the Nationals late in both games 2 and 3. Nationals, the Nationals series, the Reds took game 1 easily, and it had a lot to do because Hunter Greene's on the mound. Hunter Greene's pretty damn good. I don't really care about the win-loss records in baseball anymore, but I mean, he's 4-2 on the season. He has about a 2.36 ERA. He has the second most strikeouts in baseball. He finished 8th in Cy Young voting last season when he kind of really came into his own. A year ago at this time, he was having very, very good outings. We started to see him progressing and kind of taking off the way that we had anticipated him to. But at this time last year, we really hadn't put him in that superstar category. It really wasn't until later in the year when he was just dominating, and obviously May and June and July. Took off in August, and then unfortunately got hurt heading into September. For a couple weeks, he was out. There was a big debate. The Reds should have just shut him down in late September, but to his credit, he was an ultimate competitor. The Reds season was basically down the toilet. There's really nothing left to pitch for. The only thing he could have done was come back and risk an injury, but he's the ultimate competitor, and he forced his hand, and he came back and pitched. Everything was fine. Start of the season, it's been dominant. As I mentioned, 4-2, 2.36 ERA, second most strikeouts in baseball. He struck out over 60-plus batters throughout the first month and some change of the season. We know how good Hunter Greene is. He is the full-on ace of this staff. Cy Young, top 8 last year, as we mentioned. I think he's going to be right there in the mix to win it this season, assuming he stays healthy and can come back relatively soon. So last night we're watching the game, and the Cincinnati Reds off to a very, very good start. Technically offensively too. I mean, how about TJ Friedl? 2 home runs, not just a home run, 2 home runs. You like that kind of production from your leadoff hitter. I don't care how he gets on base. I don't care what. At this point, I don't care who hits it out of the ballpark. Just put runs up on the board and start giving some run support to the great pitching that the Reds have been fortunate to get throughout this season. And, Hunter Greene, they go to commercial break. They come back. We're expecting to see Hunter Greene on the mound. He's not on the mound. And I'm like, wait a minute. What the hell's going on? I'm getting texts from people. I'm getting messages from people. Hunter Greene this, Hunter Greene that. I thought he had, so I turned on the game quick because I didn't know what was going on. And I see he's not on the mound. So I thought, okay, well, maybe he just got rocked. And then I looked at the score. And I'm like, well, why the hell's he out? Gets hurt. All right. Groin injury. Now I'm pissed off. I'm like, oh, man, just can't have nice things, right? Like 4-game losing streak. I thought it was about to be a 5-game losing streak. The season's over. Reds prevailed. I thought that was a very good gutsy win last night because they're riding a 4-game losing streak. You lose Hunter Greene early in the game. They could have tucked their tail between their legs and just said, this series isn't ours. This week isn't ours. Just get us out of this week. The Reds not come back. They held on, sustained the win. They did what they needed to, yada, yada. They end the losing streak. Great. Back to 500, 19-19 on the season. Hunter Greene leaves. Post-game, Hunter Greene seems upbeat. He doesn't seem down on the situation. He doesn't think he's going to miss a lot of time, and Terry Francona seemed very upbeat. He didn't seem concerned. He does not believe that Hunter Greene's going to miss a lot of time. I see social media. I see people freaking out. I see people who are pissed off and just the Reds are snake bitten. They're cursed. What can go wrong will when it comes to the Cincinnati Reds. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know why. This is absolutely insanely ridiculous. If this injury is as minor as what Terry Francona, Hunter Greene, and pretty much everyone under the sun, we did talk to Sam LeCure earlier today. We'll have that interview coming up for you here in a moment. But from everything he's hearing as well, this really isn't something to be majorly concerned about. He probably will miss his next start, which was scheduled, I believe, for the early goings of that the back end of that Astros series. But I'm here to tell you, I'm not that freaked out about it. I'm not. Obviously, if this is an arm injury, I'm very, very concerned. If it's a calf injury, I'm really, really concerned. A strained groin, obviously. Doesn't sound like it's very severe. I'm not concerned about that, mainly because it's not as if this pitching staff is bad. And I say pitching staff because I mean the whole pitching staff. This rotation is very, very good. This rotation is very, very good. In fact, the Reds are losing a lot of games, and it's not because of pitching. In fact, the only reason they're in position to win a lot of these games is because of pitching. Think about 2 nights ago when the Reds lose in extras against the Atlanta Braves. They lost 2-1. You held the Atlanta Braves to 2 runs and still lost that game. And it's because you're not getting run support. It's not because of pitching. I'm here to tell you, and that was the back end of the rotation. I mean, when you look at their 4 and 5 pitchers in the rotation, I love Andrew Abbott. Andrew Abbott was the number 3 pitcher in this rotation last year. He's now the number 5 pitcher in this rotation. That's how much this rotation has improved. Andrew Abbott's good enough to be the number 3 pitcher in this rotation. But you have obviously Hunter Greene. You have Nick Lodolo, who's on the mound tonight to hopefully close out this series with the split against the Braves. We'll talk about that more in a moment. But the fact that you have Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez, who was lights out last year, got off to a bumpy start. He's in the midst of a 2-3 game stretch where he looks like his old self from last year. Then you get to who was, in my opinion, the best addition of the offseason when they traded Jonathan India to go get Brady Singer, who's been putting up top pitcher quality stuff as well. And then there's Andrew Abbott coming in at number 5. This rotation's fine. I really think in the short term, in a short amount of time, if Hunter Greene has to miss 1 to 2 starts, I don't think that impacts this team at all. I know that sounds ridiculous. I know that sounds crazy. But the Reds have absolutely zero depth all over the roster except for when it comes to pitching. If there was one position group that you could afford to lose a star for a short amount of time, it is the rotation. Nick Lodolo, Nick Martinez, Andrew Abbott, Brady Singer, those cats are fine. These guys will be fine for the next 2 weeks if they have to go a brief stint without Hunter Greene. They've been getting quality pitching all up and down this rotation. This has not been a top-heavy. As dominant and great as Hunter Greene has been, it has not been a top-heavy performance from this rotation. It's not as if your only hopes of winning are on the first 2 days of the top of the rotation. No, you can win on any given night with any one of these pitchers. And it's not just the rotation that's been dominant. This bullpen has been lights out as well. I mean, we saw it yesterday. He goes out in the 4th inning. Now you have to take care of the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Tony Santillan's been lights out. We got a chance to see Luis May in his first high leverage moment, came in and just was dominant. Santillan goes, he faces 6 batters. He goes 2 innings. He was dominant. and the Reds close out the Braves and get a big win in Game 3 of this series. Are they winning a World Series? Are they making the playoffs? I'm not saying any of that. That just shows you the perseverance because they had lost 4 straight. The season was unraveling. They were, 4 games back in the division, 3-4 games back in the wild card. The season was slowly starting to slip away. And then you add on top of it that now you are without Hunter Greene. That should have just mentally debilitated this team, and it didn't. They gutted through it. They got the win and a chance to split the series later on tonight. I just feel like people are overreacting to this Hunter Greene injury. You are not going to be healthy 162 games throughout the season. You will not go through the whole season without being banged up in some capacity. I never once expected Hunter Greene to pitch and make every start. It would be nice. I mean, we've seen it done before. It's not like it's impossible. I mean, what was that? The 2012 Reds? I mean, when you had Latos and all those guys, and they went the entire season without, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the entire rotation, I think only missed like a handful of games combined throughout the year. They were very, very healthy that year. But as I sit here right now, I'm just not concerned. Not concerned yet. Not concerned yet. I'm curious your guys' thoughts. 937-518-1410. 937-518-1410. I'm going to open up the phone lines. Hunter Greene is the Reds' ace. He is good enough to win a Cy Young. I think that if the Reds win this division and make the playoffs, I believe he is going to be a top 3 Cy Young vote getter when it's all said and done. I think he's going to be good enough to do it. So I say all of that to say it sounds weird that I am not freaking out about this potential minor injury. I'm not freaking out that he's going to miss some games. They could come out and say he's going to be out until June. Not ideal. Not excited about that, but I'm not losing sleep over it either. This team's identity is its pitching. And this team's identity being their pitching, their ability to pitch, it's not. From a pie chart perspective, it's not 75% Hunter Greene and everybody else. It literally is equally distributed domination and success across the board from so many of these guys. You need Hunter Greene. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think that him being out for 1 week, 2 week, 3 or 4, I don't think that impacts this team as negative as what people are reacting to on social media. All right, I'm Justin Kinner. Again, it's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. I'll step away for a few moments. We're going to load up the phone lines, 937-518-1410. Hunter Greene's injury, how big of a concern is it to you? We'll talk about that with our Sam LeCure interview coming up later on in the program. But I am curious your guys' thoughts. I see the chat filling up as well. I'll get to your reaction. Head to Facebook, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, or ESPN Dayton's Facebook page. That's where you could watch the show live right now, and you can weigh in the comment section, and I'll drag your interactions and your comments into the show, and we'll interact that way, or give us a call, 937-518-1410. Hunter Greene's injury, it's not ideal, but I don't think it's that big of a deal either. Agree or disagree? We'll be right back. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Off and rolling here on a Thursday. Want to give a shout out to Titan Graphics. Titan Graphics is the Miami Valley's choice for custom screen printing, embroidery, laser engraving, and promotional products. Place your order today at TitanGraphics.com. We appreciate our partnership with Titan Graphics, all of our shirts, koozies, prizes, and giveaways that we give out at live shows, all of our signage that you see out and about, whether it's in studio or when we take the show out on the road. All of that is thanks to our friends over at Titan Graphics. They do a great job taking care of us. They'll take care of you too if you're a coach looking for jerseys, if you're looking for t-shirts, if you're working HR, business manager, you need your promotional pens, coffee cups, all that fun stuff. Give Titan Graphics a call. Very quick turnaround. They'll take care of you. They take care of us, and we've worked with them for many, many years, and we definitely give them the stamp of approval. So please give Titan Graphics a call today and use them for all your screen printing needs. Speaking of needs, the Reds, how badly do they need a replacement for Hunter Greene? Hunter Greene is going to be out. Don't know for how long. It doesn't sound like it's anything major. Now, I'm saying this, and at any moment, the Reds on social media could put out an update that is going to just crush all of our dreams right now and let it, but it sounds like this is not a major thing as far as Hunter Greene last night. To catch you guys up, Hunter Greene last night, just cruising through the first couple innings of this game, gets taken out in the fourth, experienced a little tightness in the groin area, potential groin strain, could be out for a start, maybe two, possibly longer. I don't know. There's no vibes whatsoever that this is something major or significant. Okay, the Reds earlier today, they did put out the lineup. About a half hour ago, I do see that they put a lineup out there. A guy I trust very, very much that does about as good a job of anybody covering the Cincinnati Reds, our good friend Charlie Goldsmith. No update from him regarding anything that he has heard in regards to Hunter Greene. So as of right now, we are good. We're good as of now. Don't think it's going to be major. So we'll see. Bottom line is everybody's freaking out, and I get it. The season started to tailspin and get away. Everything that can go wrong has gone wrong. Austin Hayes in 13 games hitting close to 400. He's hit 5 home runs, 13 RBIs. Absolutely. And it wasn't just what he did when he had the bat in his hand. It's just what he brought to the lineup. He protected Ellie more. You couldn't pitch around Ellie. You had to give Ellie good pitches to hit you. He made Ellie better. Not a lot of guys in this lineup that are making people around them, below them, and on top of them in the lineup better. Austin Hayes did that. And when you're getting the production from TJ Friedel, Matt McClain, when he starts hitting and playing the way he's supposed to, jury's still out on him. I'll tell you what, Sam LeCure is very high on him. You'll hear it in our interview coming up in a bit. I'm not. I'm just not. I've always had my doubts about Matt McClain, only because I thought we put a lot of stock into 60 games. We put so much stock into 60 games his rookie season. He misses his entire sophomore, if that's what you want to call it, second season in Major League Baseball. Comes out this year, hits lights out the first couple of games, goes on the IL since he's been back, has been hitting 160. Not good. Did get a hit last night, though. But we'll talk about that more later. The bottom line is, ideally, what you would like is you would love TJ Friedel to set the tone at the top. He's been hitting 270, 280, had 2 home runs last night. The Reds don't win without him. Matt McClain, we know what he's capable of. We know what we expect out of him. Then you have Ellie hitting third. Gavin Lux, the team's best hitter, one of the best hitters in all of baseball right now. You could hit him fourth. I'd put Austin Hayes fourth. I'd put Gavin Lux right behind him. You could put Tyler Stevenson hitting in the 5 or the 6 spot. You have, Espinal, who you could put him anywhere in this lineup. He's going to hit. He's going to produce. They have dudes that can hit the baseball. They have that. And I think that's key. But when they have to all be on the field at the same time. They all have to be in the lineup at the same time. And that's the problem. You had Noelvi Marte, who was starting to play, hit 300. He was hitting, not just hitting lights out. He was playing great defense at third as well. Finally, it felt like, okay, the Reds, you know what you have at second. You know who your shortstop is. You know who your third baseman is. But when you start to look at the, defensive layout, you're starting to check some boxes now. We know who our third baseman is now. We know short. We know second, hopefully. Starting to get some answers to some of this stuff. And then right when we start to get some of those answers, bam, Noelvi Marte out. An abductor strain, going to be out months. That's an injury that Tyler Stevenson experienced last year, kind of bled into this season, and we see, how long it took him to kind of get going too. So at the end of the day, I see why Reds fans are frustrated, because right when things start to go right, you take a couple steps forward, you take 3 steps back. And that's been the name of the game all season. But at the end of the day, the way we talk about this team, keep in mind there was a firing in Major League Baseball. Everyone out there that says, oh, it's early. There's no need to freak out. I mean, there's a lot of teams. I don't think a lot of teams believe that. I don't think front offices truly believe that. There is urgency when it comes to how you are playing right now. Every team and every fan lives in the right now. I've never been the fan that says, well, it's early, they got plenty of time. I don't care about plenty of time. Oh, yeah, I mean, there's still going to be baseball that's being played in July, August, and September. But if you don't start playing well now, July, August, and September don't matter. So that's why I don't care for that excuse of, well, it's still early, who cares? Well, as of right now, the Reds are 19-19. They're a 500 ball club, but there was a firing in Major League Baseball today. The Pittsburgh Pirates are 12-26 on the season. They have lost 7 straight. They just got swept by the St. Louis Cardinals. The Cardinals are not a good team. The Reds split with them just 2 series ago. The Cardinals, because they just won 4 straight against the Pittsburgh Pirates, they evened their record at 19-19. In fact, the Cubs are sitting at 22-16 atop the NL Central. And then there's a log jam right there in the middle. The Cubs are in first at 22-16. The Pirates are in last at 12-26. And then the Brewers, Reds, and Cardinals are all right there in the middle, all sitting at 19-19. How you play now matters. Losing a game or two because you're without a couple pieces and saying, well, it's early, they'll get healthy, who cares? Well, it's a log jam of the Brewers, Reds, and Cardinals, trying to keep pace and just keep within striking distance of the Cubs. The Reds will have their first taste of the Cubs coming up here in 2 weeks. Will that series even matter? That series will be one of the most important. The matchup with the Cubs all season is going to be important because the Cubs are the favorites right now as we sit here just below that halfway point of May. The Cubs are the favorite to win this division. When the Reds are healthy and everyone's contributing and you look at this rotation, you look at the bullpen, when TJ Friedl, Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, Tyler Stevenson, Gavin Lux, all right, when Hayes and all these, when they're all contributing, okay, when they are all doing what they are supposed to, Spencer Steer, when you add the fact that they have this rotation, which is better than the Cubs, and then you add the fact that the bullpen has been lights out as well, the Reds, if those guys can stay healthy and live up to what we expect of them, they're better than the Cubs. But the only reason they can't be better than anybody is because they can lose to anybody in baseball and beat anybody in baseball, and that's what makes them so frustrating. Sometimes I wish they were the Pirates because then we would just know what they are. If I was a Pirates fan, say what you want. You could say, well, you could be a Pirates fan. I would rather be a Pirates fan, at least as of right now. For all my Pirates fan friends out there, Keith Byers is a big Pirates fan. KB, he's not losing sleep about his team at night. You know why? Because he knows who they are. They suck. He hates that that's the case, but I mean, you at least know who the Pirates are. I have no clue who the Reds are. I know what they're capable of, and that's what scares me. They could beat anybody and lose to anybody. That's scary as hell. The Pirates, it's easy to be the Pirates. You stink. No expectations. It's sad, but that's just the reality of it when it's all said and done. I do believe I'm not a big fan of anyone that says, well, it's early. It's early. I don't care about early. I care about how you're playing right now. So is what it is. I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show. Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Stop on out at one of your local neighborhood Frickers for their Frickin' Lunch Combo for $10.99. The Frickin' Lunch Combo features many options such as Frickin' Chicken Chunks, cheeseburgers, the Charbroiled Chicken Wrap, and the Frickin' Chicken Wrap. You also get a side and a drink, all for $10.99. The Frickin' Lunch Combo is available Monday through Friday between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Keep in mind what the Reds have coming up, okay? If they are going to be without Hunter Greene for a few of these outings, keep in mind. So let's see where we at. Yesterday, he went on the 7th. He would go again probably in game 1. So theoretically, you would have had him in game 1 against the White Sox. Again, as I said, this sounds a little silly. I said the problem with the Reds is I don't know who they are because they could beat anybody, but they could also lose to anybody. But if you are the team that we expect you to be, you should beat the White Sox. They're going to be without Hunter Greene for game 1 against the White Sox. I would like to think that the Reds could beat the White Sox without Hunter Greene when you look at all the talent they have up and down this rotation and in the bullpen. After the White Sox, you would probably need him again coming up on that Sunday matchup on the 18th against the Cleveland Guardians. Probably going to be without Hunter Greene against the Cleveland Guardians. And then if it does bleed into a third absence, this is where I'd be a little concerned. I want Hunter Greene against the Cubs. The Reds will kick off a series with the Chicago Cubs coming up on the 23rd as we sit here right now on the 8th. To me, you can get by the White Sox. You can miss Hunter Greene's start against the White Sox and still have a chance to win that series. You can get through Hunter Greene's start or get through an absence of Hunter Greene against the Guardians. That's going to be a good competitive series. I would like Hunter Greene for that series, but you need him for that Cubs series. If this is the minor injury that everybody says, and it's not going to be a long IL stint, I would circle that. What did I say? What was the date to that? Let me pull this back up. Sorry. The 23rd. The 23rd, 24th in that range is when Hunter Greene's start would line up with the Chicago Cubs, barring any kind of movement to other injuries. There are some off days in there, so that could tinker with it as well. Hunter Greene needs to be back by that Cubs series if this truly is just a short stint. All right, let's go to the comment section and get your guys' thoughts. Again, how big of a deal, how big of a concern is this that Hunter Greene is going to miss a few starts? Again, there's been no official announcement. It sounds like it's not a big deal. I'm just assuming here, and maybe that's the problem, or maybe that is a problem, but I'll deal with that problem if it does come to fruition later on. As far as that's concerned. Ron Howard weighs in. Ron Howard says that, and again, we're live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, and you can go watch the show and interact there. Ron Howard says Greene is starting to be a consistently injury-prone pitcher. Do you guys put him in that category? I don't think, every year your starters are going to get banged up and hurt. I think you can miss 2 to 5 starts a season. And I think that's acceptable. I think you can miss 2 to 5 starts a season as a starter without being put in that injury-prone list. What do you guys think? Ron, I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't view him as that. I view Nick Lodolo as that. Nick Lodolo is the one that I have big concerns about. Nick Lodolo has proven that he has not been, it's around this time usually, knock on wood, but it's around this time, and I hate that I'm saying this because he's on the mound tonight against the Braves, but this is around the time where you start questioning his durability and how far into the season he can go. A lot of times this is around the time where he starts getting rocked. And then behind that is around the time when he starts making those adjustments. And then it kind of leads to him changing some things that usually leads to an injury. I don't want to put all that bad mojo out there, but I put Nick Lodolo in that injury prone category. I don't necessarily put Hunter Greene there, but should I? I need to go look how many games a year he's missed, Ron. I'm not saying you're wrong. I can't agree with you yet. I'll have to look in to see what his numbers are as far as throughout his Reds career, how many games per season he truly misses. But again, it's a 162-game season. You start games in March. You're not done until September. That's a 6-7. You're playing more than 50% of the season. You're going to miss some time. So I would have to go look to see if he's missing big chunks of time every season. I know he has. He's missed games every year. I just got to go look at the total. But I'll look that up coming up here in a bit. So David Shaw says Greene is the third best pitcher in Major League Baseball in my eyes. Well, tied for second, I guess. Scuba again with the Tigers is one, obviously, and then Greene, Skeens obviously with the Pirates, and he has Skeens and Greene tied for second. Yeah, I think those are your top 3 pitchers in baseball right now. I feel like we're missing an obvious one though. Are we missing another dominant pitcher in that range? Skeens is. Scuba, again, he did win the American League Cy Young last year. That kid's unbelievable. Again, your 2 Cy Youngs right there at the top. I think that's fair. And I think what makes Skeens even more scary is the fact that he's so young, that he did that so early. Hunter Greene, it took years to kind of develop. We saw that he had something early. We saw it here in Dayton. I went to every one of Greene's starts here in Dayton, and there wasn't many, but I went to as many as I possibly could. And there was just a different aura about Hunter Greene when he was on the mound in Dayton. And we've seen a lot of the Reds' top prospects after being drafted and coming and making a short stint in Dayton. We saw Burns, same thing. When Burns was on the mound here, there was just a different vibe. There are a ton of Dragons games. We all go to Dragons games. But when he was on the mound, there was something different. And the same thing with Hunter Greene. But he had to develop into that as far as that goes. But going down the list again, 937-518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. How big of a concern is this Hunter Greene injury? We'll continue to get your reaction to that. Again, Nick Lodolo on the mound tonight to close out this series against Atlanta. Just get out of Atlanta with the win. I don't care how you do it. But this has been a bad week. This has been a rough week for the Cincinnati Reds. And to be honest, The fact that they could leave Atlanta with a split to me is huge. I think that's big time. I think that that's going to really relieve the stress of a lot of Reds fans and this organization as a whole. You win tonight, not only do you split the series with the Braves, but you're also sitting at 20 wins. And you're sitting a game above 500. I mean, like I said, there was a firing in Major League Baseball today. I threw a temper tantrum this week. You guys have been throwing temper tantrums the last couple, basically since the beginning of the season with the up and down roller coaster ride that we've been on. But we're pretty much 40 games into the season now, almost 40 games into the season. The bottom line is we all threw temper tantrums. There was a firing in Major League Baseball today because there was a manager of a team that was 12-26. You would think that we are fans of a team that is 12-26 with the way fans are screaming on social media, which I guess is still a good thing because that means there are fans who care. But man, oh man, we'll see. Shaw also says that his antenna is raised towards Hunter Greene being injury prone, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. But I tell you what, we're going to step away for a few moments. I'm going to look that up. I do want to see. I mean, is Hunter Greene injury prone? I don't know. Maybe I'm letting my Reds blinders on, but I love Nick Lodolo. By the way, this is a huge start for Nick Lodolo tonight. Nick Lodolo has an opportunity to step up because there was a stretch, even early last year, I kept saying, man, this because Nick Lodolo always gets off to a hot start. I was like, who is the ace of the staff? A year ago at this time, I was still having question marks. Was it Hunter Greene or Nick Lodolo? But Nick Lodolo, for the third straight season last year, had 4 or 5 dynamite starts and then just fell off a cliff because of the durability issues and concerns. I don't look at him as even close to the ace, but he has a chance tonight to step up and go out there and just throw a hell of a game, put this team in position to win, and leave Atlanta with 2 wins. They lost the first 2. They may have lost Hunter Greene for a short stint, but big opportunity tonight for Nick Lodolo, in my opinion. Nick Lodolo, I still view as injury prone. But that Hunter Greene question mark, Ron, you're going to have me thinking for the show. I'll tell you that much. But we'll step away for a few moments. We'll pick up on this when we come back. We're also going to get into some college football. Ohio State, they failed to add some weapons to that defensive line. That was kind of the bread and butter of this team last season. May not be their strength this season. Can they get it done without a dominant defensive line? We'll talk about that in this program as well. We'll be right back. More of the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers next. All right, and we are back. Reds and Braves, 7:15, the first pitch coming up later on tonight. Nick Lodolo going to be on the mound as he looks to help the Reds close out what has been a horrendous series against the Braves, losing games 1 and 2. They do take game 3 last night, despite losing Hunter Greene in the fourth inning, or after 4 innings of work, I should say. But the bullpen stepped up. Came in and worked their tail off. Obviously, we got a chance to see Luis May come in. High leverage opportunity, his first in Major League Baseball, and he took care of business quickly. Santillan faces 6 batters, striking out the first 3. Unbelievable outing for him. Reds got it done last night, and what I felt was a very desperate situation for them, because not only did they almost lose the game, they obviously lose Hunter Greene, and it just would have felt like at that point the season's done. But they tough out a win, and they win tonight. Winning tonight obviously they leave Atlanta with a split. I think that's a huge plus right there, considering how bad it could have been. And a win tonight puts them a game above 500 again. And that would be huge, especially momentum-wise heading into the matchup with Houston. How big of a concern is this Hunter Greene injury? Let's go to the phones. I know we got Mike. He goes by Grandpa Mike, though. Grandpa Mike, appreciate the time, my friend. How are you?
Good. You, sir?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's been a while, but I know you're a big Dragons guy, you're a big Reds guy, you're a big Yankees guy, too. But this Hunter Greene injury, how big of a deal is it in your eyes?
I think it could be huge. I was watching the game, and when he came out to warm up, and when I don't think it's major. And knowing Hunter, because I've met him years ago, you know that. I think it's more precautionary. He was more scared than anything. Say, I don't want to ruin this, because he's been pitching great.
Yep.
I call it the Nolan Ryan syndrome when he pitches. Nolan pitched so many games where the teams he played for didn't score runs, but he kept teams to 1-2 runs, obviously shutouts, no hitters, etc. That's all. If anybody knows the history of Nolan, they know his history. And I look at Hunter the same way. He pitches a great game, and they don't score. And then you get guys that go out there who are just maybe an average pitcher, and they'll score 12 runs. But the team's an enigma. But I tell you, I'd rather be a Reds fan than a Pirates fan, and the reason is, at least now they're frustrating as hell.
Yeah.
One day they'll go out for 24 runs, and then they get shut out 3 games in a row. But for Pittsburgh, there's no hope. But I'm saying I'd rather be in the situation the Reds are in as a fan than knowing there is no hope. At least we know, hey, there's hope. There's promise there. There's talent there. But in the long run, I think it's just a matter of time before Francona finally says, you know what, guys, enough's enough. It's just a matter of time. I think it's still a feeling out period for him. I know it sounds crazy, almost a quarter into the season, but it is. And there are guys there that shouldn't be there, and that's not his fault. The cards are handed to him. Obviously, he can do what he can. But the other thing is, I want to see his team bunt more. You're not hitting bunt. They got guys on his team that can bunt. I want to see Ellie bunt. Are you kidding me? When they sit there, when he's batting left-handed, and they put shift guys, 3 sides guys, they got shortstop right behind second, basically. Lay that puppy down the third baseline. You'll be on second base with third base when the catcher gets to it.
Yeah, and look, and I tell you what, small ball was something that really kind of helped propel the Reds last season. They didn't have a good season last year, but the point is that when they were kind of struggling to produce runs, what they started doing was when they did get guys on base, obviously they were the most aggressive base running team in baseball. They led the league in steals. They're not doing that this season. Ellie is getting his. I think he's like 13, 14 thus far. I mean, he's been getting those taken care of, but they do seem like they've taken a step back with Terry Francona as manager from that perspective. They're not as aggressive offensively. So it's like if they're not putting the ball in play, if they're not hitting it out of the ballpark, they're not doing anything differently to produce runs. To David Bell's credit last year, and I don't say that often, they knew. This is why I defended Bell last year, because they made a lot of base running blunders last year. And I said, I think that's not by design, but I think that they're taking those mistakes at, just giving them a chance to be able to get runners in scoring position. They weren't a good hitting team. So if you get on base, we're going to be aggressive and try and steal to force you to get in scoring position, to take advantage of that. That's just something they're not doing this year under Terry Francona.
No, I agree. And one other thing, I'll let you go because I got to get ready because I'm heading into bricks. I'm heading into work. Because I'm the host, I don't know if you remember, on game days. One of the other thing is with Francona, I think his patience is going to run out, but they just have to somehow reel these guys in. And the thing that bothers me the most is I still see stupid base running things.
Yep.
Ellie got doubled off second yesterday. And then I can't remember who it was toward the end of the game that got picked off first. Was that Fraley?
Fraley, yep.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you guys doing? That's just stupid stuff. And I think, it's just a matter of time before Francona says, you know what, sit your ass down for a while and we'll come back to you. Of course, he doesn't have that option in reality because of injuries, which sucks.
Yep.
Anyway, well, I'll let you go because I got to get to work.
Sounds good. Have a good rest of your week.
All right.
937-518-1410. This Hunter Greene injury obviously has been a big talking point on social media throughout the day. We spent a lot of time of it on Off the Bench earlier with the guys at Chatterbox today. And we spent a lot of time on it with Sam LeCure, who we're going to have that interview coming up for you here just around the corner. But like I said, as far as the schedule coming up for the Reds, look, they obviously wrap up tonight with Nick Lodolo on the mound. And as far as the Astros go, after Nick Lodolo, you're going to have Nick Martinez pitching game 1 against the Astros, game 2. You're obviously going to have Brady Singer, and then Andrew Abbott's going to close out the series against the Astros. The next available date that you would have available to throw out Hunter Greene would be that game 1 against the White Sox at Great American Ballpark. And I'm curious to see what Terry Francona does there. Do you go the opener? Can you go with Graham Ashcraft? Like, what route will they go? I think timing wise too. I'm excited because Rhett Lauder started his rehab stint this week as well. I'm just wondering, what is the plan for him? And what is the plan to replace Hunter Greene in this rotation if it's going to be a short, long-term absence, whatever you want to call it? But the White Sox game 1 on the 13th, that's the next game that you would be expecting to see Hunter Greene out there. And then the next game after that would be that game on the 18th against the Cleveland Guardians. Those are both home games. After that, the third expected start for Hunter Greene, if you eliminate this injury, when we would expect to see him, it would be on that 23rd or 24th range against the Chicago Cubs. The good thing is within this stint, I am counting 1, 2, 3. I'm counting 2 off days in that stretch. So the Reds are going to be able to kind of tinker with this rotation a bit. And I think that if this is not as bad as you think, if Hunter Greene could just take the next 2 weeks off, I would do everything in your power. If it is as minor as they say, give him a week, 2 weeks off, make sure that's completely taken care of, so that he could be on the mound to help set the tone against the Chicago Cubs. And the good thing is when the Reds do play the Cubs for the first time this season, it will be at Great American Ballpark. That Reds-Cubs series coming up at the end of the month on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Pretty excited about that. That is a huge series. That's a huge series for both teams. The Cubs have done a good job of keeping the Brewers at bay. Obviously, the Pirates aren't a threat. They've taken care of them. You got the Cardinals. But I think that of all between the Brewers, the Reds, Cardinals, Pirates aren't a concern. Brewers they're a very average team, just like the Reds. But I think because of the Reds pitching and because of the Reds potential when it comes to guys who can hit in that lineup, I think the Reds are the biggest threat to the Cubs in the division. And you're probably saying, well, the Reds got to figure out how to beat the Brewers. I agree with you. That's like a weird matchup thing. They just don't match up well. I mean, it's like in the NFL. You think about the Bengals and Browns. The Bengals, when they went to the Super Bowl that year, they lost to the Browns twice. The Browns would go on to win 2 more games after that. Like, the Browns always have the Bengals number, but the Browns aren't playing at the same level as the Bengals. They're not competing for the playoffs in the Super Bowl like the Bengals are, but they always seem to beat the Browns, right? Or they always seem to beat the Bengals. That's kind of like this Brewers thing. But the Brewers are not the Browns. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the Brewers, from a matchup perspective, own the Reds right now. They have a lot of good traits about them as well. But I think when everything's clicking, I think that the Reds are the second best team in the Central. That doesn't sound like as much of a compliment as what you think it does. The Central's not that good. The Cubs are really good, and I think that the Reds are the better of the 3 average teams there in the middle, and then the Pirates are bad. So, there's that. Raul Havana on YouTube. What up? We're catching Brown strays already. Come on now. He says Browns have agreed to retire Sanders' number after he makes the practice squad. Absolutely. Nobody should want to wear number 12 moving forward, but unbelievable. We're going to talk about that coming up here shortly as well. Ron says Browns didn't have their number. Baker did. Browns have had their number. They beat the Bengals with Baker Mayfield. They beat them with Jacoby Brissett. In fact, they blew the doors off of they blew the doors off Cincinnati with Jacoby Brissett. They've won. I mean, that dominant run they had was with multiple quarterbacks, but stop. I mean, that makes me sound like I'm like, hey, our team stinks, but at least we beat the Bengals. Should beat the Bengals if you're the Cleveland Browns with that defense. But that's besides the point. Don't get me distracted, Ron. We've been off to a good start today. All right, Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Reds and Braves, Game 4 later on tonight. I know everyone's focused on Hunter Greene, but right now I'm focused on Nick Lodolo. Go get that win tonight. End the series with a split, go a game above 500, get to 20 wins, 20-19 after tonight. Take that momentum to Houston for that 3-game series heading into the weekend. The Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers.
takes?
No, I'm not going to apologize to Ryan Day. Everything we said about Ryan Day up into the playoffs was true.
Not bad. Come on, Kenner. You can do better than that.
To be fair, of all the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, Joe Burrow is the least accomplished.
Getting better.
1,000,000%. I 1,000,000% believe that the Dayton Flyers are afraid of the Wright State Raiders. That's why they come up with every excuse in the book not to play them.
There it is. The hottest take of them all. It's the Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers, live on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, and we welcome you in hour number 2. 402 here in the Miami Valley. It's the Justin Kinner Show presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. Well, a new pope was elected today. Big day. Big day. Jay Morrison, he has a stat for everything. And if you are a Bengals fan, you have to feel pretty good about the new pope that was elected today. And it has nothing to do with who the pope is or the name of the pope or where the pope is from. It has everything to do with the fact that the last 2 times that a new pope was elected, the Bengals just happened to win the division that year. There you go. Stat of the J. Gotta love it. Jay Morrison always puts out the stat of the J. Technically, he didn't call it the stat of the J instead of stat of the day, but I mean, that's a heck of a stat. I almost said the other word, but I'm trying to be respectful. You're talking about the Pope. I don't want to say anything bad, but nonetheless, the last 2 times the new Pope was elected, which was back in 2013 and 2005, the Bengals won the division. Shout out Jay Morrison. Great one right there. He'll be on with us next week. Again, next week, the schedule reveal for the NFL comes out, and I wish that it would actually be a schedule reveal. I don't know about you guys. I don't like when they drop nuggets of stuff throughout the week. I don't want to find out on Tuesday, weeks 12, 9, 6, and 4. Just wait until Thursday. If you want the show to matter, like imagine if March Madness, and by the way, I'm not comparing a schedule release to a bracket reveal, but the bracket reveal, what makes the bracket reveal so special is the suspense. Same thing with the college football playoff, the selection Sunday there. It's the suspense of not knowing what's about to pop up on the screen. Like, maybe in college football, the teams that are going to be in the playoff. You didn't know exactly where in the matchups and all that stuff. But selection Sunday is the best example I could think of. The teams that are going to be in it, you have a good idea, but there's also those fringe bubble teams. I mean, there's so much anticipation. There's so much unknown and anxiety throughout the day of, is my team going to make it? If they make it, are they going to be seated properly? Imagine if March Madness throughout the week started sprinkling, all right, and you kind of know who your 1 seeds are. There's no big deal there, right? Like, hell, even in 20, unfortunately, the season where we didn't get an NCAA tournament, we all knew Dayton was going to be a 1 seed. But the bottom line is, imagine if they started revealing, all right, we're going to throw out the East region, and we're going to start giving you the matchups, a couple days before Selection Sunday. Tune into Selection Sunday to find out the remaining 20 teams. It wouldn't have the same impact. I hate when they start revealing some of the games throughout the week. Just reveal absolutely everything next Thursday on the schedule release show. That's all I care about. But anyways, it's not that huge a deal. But you know what? It's content season, baby, or it's actually not content season. This is where people like me have to turn over every single rock possible to try to find content. That's why I really appreciate Jay finding a stat or finding a talking point that was a direct correlation between a new pope being elected today and the last time that the Bengals won the division when that happened. That's great. Always looking for content. Shout out to Jay Morrison. But stop sprinkling that crap throughout the week. I just want the full anticipation. I want the full anxiousness of not knowing what the schedule is going to be when it comes out for our teams next week. But we spent a lot of time in hour number 1. Hunter Greene goes out last night. And I think after the 4th inning against the Braves. And at that point, things could have just gone from bad to worse. You lost 4 straight, 4 games back in the division, 3 games back at the wild card. After being multiple games up over 500 last week, now looking up now. Now you're below 500. But for the Reds to get that win last night sets them up for a chance to split with the Braves tonight. It evens their record back up at 500. They're 19-19. And you're going to hear it in our conversation with Sam LeCure coming up. He's not wrong. Because I don't want to be a hypocrite. I was like, man, Elliot, you guys calm the hell down. You guys are being so negative. I was being negative too. But then I hear Sam LeCure talking. I'm like, he's not wrong. This team has way too many good pieces on it. You have one of the best rotations in baseball. You have one of the best bullpens in baseball, the best pitching staffs in all of baseball. You have a Hall of Fame manager. You're a 500 baseball team that hasn't. I mean, look at the Pirates. They just fired their manager today. We act as if we're the Pirates. The Pirates are 12-26. They've lost 7 straight. They just got swept by the freaking Cardinals. Cardinals are 19-19. I think they're a little bit of frauds because I don't think that they don't have a good pitching staff. They don't have a good lineup, but they took advantage of a bleeding Pirates team and bled them out, and now they're sitting there with the 500 record as well. Not all 500 records are created equal. I don't think the Reds and Cardinals are the same team. They did split, though, last week when they played, but there you go. I like I said, win this tonight on the mound. It's a big opportunity for Nick Lodolo to go out there. He's the number 2 pitcher in this rotation for a reason. You know, I think that, a year ago, like I said, I was really kind of paying attention to him and Hunter Greene. I thought that Hunter Greene had more electric stuff, but I thought that at one point Nick Lodolo looked like the better pitcher. But no, that was way wrong. Hunter Greene is just head and shoulders better than everyone in this rotation. But at the same time, you're only as good as the sum of your parts. Individually, Hunter Greene's the best pitcher in this rotation. But collectively, it's one of the best rotations in baseball, one of the best pitching staffs in baseball. I think that they can get by and miss a few starts from Hunter Greene and be just okay. Like I said, the next expected start for Hunter Greene would have been game 1 against the White Sox next week. The next start would be 5 days later in game 3 against the Cleveland Guardians at Great American Ballpark. And then the third expected start, had there not been this injury, it would be that series against the Chicago Cubs. I want him on the mound for the Cubs. Ron, look at you. I appreciate that, Ron. You always have Shaw who's out, doing the producer role in the chat, and I always appreciate that. Ron's jumping in too. Ron comes in. Greene has missed 20 starts as a Red. I don't think that's that many. I think you play 162 games in a season. All right, you play 7 months out of a 12-month year, calendar year, right? Like you're going to miss some starts. He doesn't miss months. He doesn't miss. I know he's had a season-ending injury before when he had Tommy John. I'm glad he got that out of the way early. Not saying it can't happen again, but man, I don't put him in that injury-prone conversation. I know we had that conversation earlier as well. But 937-518-1410. I'm going to move on to college football here in a moment before we get to our Sam LeCure conversation. But how big of a concern is the Hunter Greene injury? David Shaw, thanks for holding. You're on live.
How about you, sir?
Another day in paradise, as long as it's not a big injury.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And I was watching it last night live, and I don't know, comes back from commercial, and like you said, he wasn't out there, and then they start talking about it, and they show the replay of it, and I've pulled my groin before, and it looked very similar to when I pulled mine. Yeah, it looks like it's not very serious, but then the longer it goes on and the more the night goes on, and then you wake up in the morning and it feels worse and worse and worse. It's his back leg too, which means to me that would take longer to recover from. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking about the doctor part of it because I'm not a doctor, obviously. But I agree with you on the short term that the rotation can handle it. Longer than that, though, too, and maybe even the Cubs series, I don't know. I don't think this rotation can handle it. I was looking up the Ron stuff about how many starts he's missed and everything like that, and I couldn't find how many starts it was. I found the 3 stints that he's been on the DL, on the IO, and all that stuff, but it seems there's definitely enough evidence to say that he could be injury prone, because since coming back from the Tommy John, he's had little nagging things here and there over the last 3 years, and he's had multiple stints on the IL since then. So I mean, I don't want to label him as injury prone, but I don't know. Some things kind of show me that maybe some little nagging things come up here and there. But I also agree with you as well, and I know I'm going all over the place, but 20 starts isn't that many, so I don't know. It's weird.
It did just come out. Charlie Goldsmith, who we have on pretty regularly, he just tweeted out about 5 minutes ago, Hunter Greene has a grade 1 groin strain. And with that, again, it says a couple weeks of rest, and I think that lines up. I think if I'm the Reds, I'm shutting him down for the next couple of series. I think that the target date should be that. I think the target series for his return should be that Cubs series. Again, you got to play the Cubs, and you have 2 series with the Cubs in the final 10 days or final 8 days of the month of May. And again, he would be expected 3 starts from now to start on the 23rd or 24th against the Cubs. I would shut him down for that. You have the Astros coming up this weekend. You have the White Sox, Guardians, and Pirates. You have 4 series before that Cubs series. I would shut him down for the next 4 series. I would shut him down for the next 2-3 weeks, and with the target date being the Cubs. That's a very important series. But bringing him back, I don't think you don't need to risk throwing him out there against the White Sox. I don't think you need to risk throwing him out there against the Pirates. I think that the Cubs is the series that you circle and say, okay, if everything checks out, that would be the expected target date to get him back out there, but we'll see. But a grade 1 groin strain is what's being reported for Hunter Greene after leaving last night's game in the 4th inning.
The only issue I have setting him for a month, would he have to make a rehab start? Or is that
do they put him on the IL? I mean, I guess if you're going to be out for weeks, you're probably going to have to, but I'm curious how they're going to handle that.
Yeah, because they have to open up a roster spot.
And they have quite a few injuries. They just, we'll see what I think they're going to, because you can't do an opener 4 times in the next 3 weeks. So they're going to have someone that's going to, that's why I think they can do an opener twice in the next 2 series and give Rhett Lauder 2 weeks of a week and a half of rehab starts. I think we could see. And the thing is, if he's not ready to go by the Cubs series, I think that you circle that and you get Rhett Lauder called up. Rhett Lauder is already in the midst of his rehab starts. I think you caught the Sam LeCure interview earlier. I'd asked Sam LeCure, I said, if the rotation's fully healthy, how is Rhett Lauder being viewed at by the organization? Is he a guy that they're trying to find a way to squeeze on this main roster, or is he just going to be viewed at as a Louisville Bats pitcher for the year? Sounds like he's being viewed as just a AAA pitcher for the season, and it's not that he's not good enough. But if he's needed, and I think he might be, I could see him being the guy that they call up for this particular case in about a week. We'll see what they end up doing.
Right. Like I brought up a minute ago, like a month seems about right because it says, looking it up, says a few weeks with rest and ice and gentle stretching. Yeah. 2-3 weeks, and then that 3rd week, somewhere in between the 2nd and the 3rd week, you send him somewhere to get a start just to make sure that groin is going to hold. You only get a couple innings, take him out, and then his first start for the Cubs. I think that lines up.
Yeah, the month of June too is brutal. June, when actually, to be honest, it starts. So the Cubs series that comes up on the 23rd, you have 2 series with the Cubs between the 23rd and June 1st. But so you're going to be playing the Cubs twice in that stretch. And then on June 2nd, you start a 3-game series with Milwaukee, which the Brewers have owned the Reds. Then you have to play Arizona. Arizona is a very, very good team as well. Then you got to go play Cleveland at Cleveland for 3. Then you got to play at Detroit, who is, some are questioning if that's the best team in the American League at this point. And then you got the Yankees and the Padres and the Red Sox all heading into July. And then it gets, then you have Miami and Colorado at home in back-to-back series heading into the All-Star break. I have no clue who the Reds will be by that All-Star break, but if they have any chance of competing at all, they have to at least find a way to stretch out these next couple of weeks and make it interesting heading into June.
And after Detroit, Minnesota, don't forget going to St. Louis. They go to St. Louis for 3, and then they come home for New York and San Diego. June and July are brutal. As easy as April and May have been, this schedule-wise is about to completely flip. That stretch right there from Chicago to Arizona, Milwaukee to Arizona, Cleveland, Detroit, Minnesota, you kind of get a little breath there. Then you go to St. Louis, and we know what type of horrors that's been. Then New York, San Diego, Boston, Philadelphia, that's wow. So yeah, they're definitely going to need him for that, for sure. And they're going to need some of these other bats to come back too. So, and hopefully that they're all firing on all cylinders leading into the All-Star break. But I don't want to take any more time, and I'll talk to you later. Go Blue.
Go Blue. He's still getting those in. I get it. Well, I wonder if the NCAA is saying go Blue. I wonder if I was looking at Michigan's schedule this year. I think the toughest opponent they have is the NCAA. My money is on the NCAA to come away victorious there. But 937-518-1410. We've taken a few of your calls. Lots of reaction in the chat. But yeah, I hadn't even looked ahead to June. Like, I feel like again, it's so early in May, but damn, this month is flying by. But you get through this series with Atlanta and Houston. I mean, you got the White Sox, the Guardians, the Pirates, but then on May 23rd, that Cubs series, damn. I mean, then you got to go to at Kansas City. Okay, that's a winnable series right there, but 6 games with the Cubs over the final 10 days of May into June. Then you got to play Milwaukee. You got to play Arizona. You got to play Cleveland. You got to play Detroit. Like I said, Detroit's one of those teams that are, Detroit is one of those teams that is being literally talked about right now as potentially the best team in the American League. And there's a lot of really good teams in the American League. But that's a brutal stretch. You got to play the Yankees. The Yankees are at Great American Ballpark. That's pretty cool. You got the Padres. And to give you an idea of the reason I'm bringing up these teams, as far as where we're sitting at standings-wise right now, just to give you an idea. So you got to play the Yankees. Now, the Reds are 19-19. They win tonight. They're a 20-win team. The New York Yankees are 21-16. That's I do, from a perspective standpoint, as bad as I feel like this team is at times, the Reds, if they win tonight, the Reds would be second place in the American League East. They would be a game behind the New York Yankees if they win tonight. You look at the AL Central. Cincinnati wins tonight, and you're 20 and you're 20-19. I mean, you're right there with a 22-win Guardians and Kansas City Royals team. The Tigers lead that series, arguably the best team in the American League. Reds win tonight. You're at 20 wins. The Tigers have 23 wins. Obviously, from you put them on the field, it can maybe get ugly if the Tigers are that much better than the Reds, of course. But when you look at the sample size of games to this point, everyone's pretty even. No one's pulling away from one another. The Reds are a 20-win team after tonight, possibly. The Tigers are viewed as the best team in the American League. They're sitting at 23. I'm looking at the AL West right now. The Reds would be second place in that division as well. Second place in that division, you'd be basically a game. The gap between second and third and fourth is one game in the Central. You'd be second place in the AL East. Second place in the AL West. Obviously, the National League, you want to go over there, or, coming back to the National League. The Mets sitting atop the NL East at 24-14. The Reds would be third, but only 3 games back in the Mets. So, and then you got the Dodgers, who are sitting there at 25-12. I don't know if you guys saw this. Lance McAllister shared it. In fact, let me pull this up. Elliot highlighted it on Off the Bench earlier. I thought this was wild. So, Lance McAllister broke this down. Lance McAllister, again, Sports Talk 700. Per Fangraphs, Lance McAllister tweeted this out last night when he found it. There are 234 players on the injured list right now. Okay. We keep doing this thing where, oh man, the Reds, we got to blame the training staff, this, that, and the other. We live in a silo. Baseball is very regional. We act like anything that's good or bad that happens with our team, that, if our team wins, why aren't they talking about it more? Don't they know that the Reds are, baseball is very regional. That's why probably not a lot of Major League Baseball fans in Pittsburgh at this point. Everyone's given up on baseball. If you live in Pittsburgh, your team's 12-26. But we live in a silo. We follow all the news, and we feel everything that happens that to our team and is said about our team. But the Reds come in with 9 injuries on the season, with 9 players on the IL. So, actually, no, they have 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so the Reds are actually not even in the top 5 of most injured teams in baseball, but we feel it. The Los Angeles Dodgers, as I just mentioned, when you look at where they're at, they're in the toughest division in baseball. They're in the National League West. All right, you got they are 25-12. They are a game and a half above the Padres, who are 23-13, and a game and a half above the Giants, who are 24-14. And then there's the Diamondbacks, who are 19-18. Now, the Rockies are 6-29. They're historically bad at this point. I can't believe we're talking about a historically bad team. It took 1 year for the historically bad Chicago White Sox to be topped by the Colorado Rockies a month and a half into the season, the way the Rockies have been. The Rockies might actually be worse than the White Sox were last year. That's ADD. We'll talk about that more later. But the Los Angeles Dodgers are 25-12, and they have more injuries. They have more players on the injured list than any team in baseball. The Dodgers have 14 players on the injured list. When healthy, they arguably might have the best rotation in the history of baseball. They have multiple pieces out of their rotation and still have statistically one of the best rotations in baseball. Depth, as we know, is not a problem with the Dodgers. But injuries, this is why I don't like this as well, because people say, well, the Reds, there's no excuse with injuries. Everyone has injuries. Look at the Dodgers. Well, the Dodgers, their minor league team, could probably finish third in most of these divisions right now. The Dodgers have depth. Like, you know what I mean? The Gavin Lux, statistically, one of the best hitters in baseball. They looked at Gavin Lux and said, yeah, we don't need you. And he's arguably the Reds' best hitter right now. I mean, that's how deep the Dodgers are. So I don't like when people say, well, everyone has, injuries. I mean, the Dodgers, they have 14 guys on the IL, and look, they're 25-12. That just shows you don't comprehend baseball. Because I don't care if the Dodgers have 14 players on the IL and the Reds only have 3. If the quality of the guys that are on the IL for the Reds, you subtract them, and it's about, to me, it's about the percentage of production that those players bring to the table. When you're without Austin Hayes, and now you're without Noelvi Marte, those are 2 300 hitters that are in a lineup that desperately needs hitting. You have Spencer Steer, who may not be on the IL, but he's been battling injuries all season. Matt McClain, who I don't think he's injured, but I mean, when you look at how he looked in that first series against the Giants, 2 home runs in that series, and, obviously had quite a few hits, goes on the short IL stint, comes back and has hit 160 cents. I mean, just because names aren't on the IL doesn't necessarily mean that these guys aren't banged up. And now you put Hunter Greene and you put Austin Hayes and you put Noelvi Marte on this IL. You even have, from the standpoint of the fact that you look at, they have Rhett Lauder, who, is good enough to be in this rotation. There's just no room for him. He's on the IL. Tyler Stevenson's just coming off the IL, but he's been there too. So I see a lot of people taking what Lance tweeted out and saying, see, this is why this Reds team's pathetic. They don't even have close to the amount of injuries that the Dodgers have. And look, they're 25-12. It's not the same thing. Tell me you don't understand baseball without telling me you don't understand baseball, because I heard it all right there. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. You can't sit there and say, well, the Dodgers could prevail without, through injuries. So could the Reds. No. If the Reds have 3 guys on the IL and the Dodgers have 14, I guarantee you those 14 players on the IL don't mean as much to the Dodgers as what Austin Hayes and Hunter Greene and Noelvi Marte. And I'm missing some names. Am I missing names? I feel like it's there's some names I'm sure I'm missing right now when it comes to this. But yeah. Who knows? All right, I'm Justin Kinner. It's the Justin Kinner Show. We had a chance to catch up with Sam LeCure, former Reds pitcher, now on FanDuel Sports TV. Don't forget that. He's part of the Reds pre- and post game. Sam is awesome. He's probably my favorite guest that we have on any of the shows that we do. He's just a guy you sit back, have a beer with, and just talk the blank. Like, he's just that likable of a dude, and the fact that he comes on with us as often as he does, we're really appreciative of that. But a great conversation with him. He's a former major league pitcher. He knows better than anybody just how this injury could impact that position. And we talked about a lot of stuff. For one, right off the bat, this rotation's very good. This bullpen's very good, but are they good enough to withstand a lengthy absence of Hunter Greene? If that ends up being the case, we discussed that. We talked about the fact that right now it feels like the sky is falling with this team. A lot of times, what's his takeaway? A very positive outlook when he talks about, when you look at the strengths, when you look at the numbers of this team, when you look at the individual success talking points here, this is not a bad baseball team. And when they do get it all together, they're the biggest threat to the Cubs in the Central. Look out. Very good conversation with Sam LeCure. We're going to talk about that, or have that conversation for you when we come back. The Justin Kinner Show, presented by Frickers. Frickers, your home for fun food, sports, and spirits. Stop on out at one of your local neighborhood Frickers for their Frickin' Lunch Combo for $10.99. The Frickin' Lunch Combo features many options, such as Frickin' Chicken Chunks, cheeseburgers, the Charbroiled Chicken Wrap, and the Frickin' Chicken Wrap. You also get a side and a drink, all for $10.99. The Frickin' Lunch Combo is available Monday through Friday between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Make note of that, guys, for your lunch, and gals, for your lunch tomorrow. Frickin' Lunch Combo, $10.99 between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. at your local neighborhood Frickers. It's available for dine-in and carry-out. So that's a pretty cool deal right there. Reminder that kids eat free. Frickers, your home for fun, food, sports, and spirits. We got our conversation with Sam LeCure coming up next right here on the Justin Kinner Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.